Father's Day morning came wrapped in quiet and coffee. I was at the kitchen island with the crossword and a stubborn pen that only wanted to work on the margins. The house was as it had been for 30 years. Light across the Persian rug we bought for our 20th, the old oak table Jessica refinished herself the summer Samantha was 6. The faint sound of our neighbor's wind chime saying something kind about the weather. The doorbell chimed once. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and opened the door to find a package on the mat. 12 by 12 by 6, brown craft, too much tape. The label was a cheerful blue Father's Day sticker. Below it, a white shipping label with my name, William Hawkins, our address, and a return address I recognized from a lifetime of writing it on birthday envelopes and camp forms. Samantha Hawkins. Town apartment, city 20 minutes away. Laugh I didn't mean to make climbed into my throat and did its best. The last time Father's Day landed with this kind of effort from my daughter, she was 12 and thought tie-dye was a color that matched everything. Things were different now. She was 31, married to Peter. The efforts lately came with strings, the gifts had been in voices. Still, the box was in my hands. It was heavier than it looked, not the weight of a mug or a frame. Denser. I carried it to the island. Jessica stepped in from the back porch, wiping her palms on the legs of her jeans. Terracotta on her thumbs from the basil she'd been coaxing back from a rough spring. Got something? She asked, gentle because we'd been careful with that word lately. From Sam, I said. Father's Day. She smiled, the kind she keeps in reserve for when the moment might break. That's good. I set the box down, reached for the tape. Will, Jessica said softly. Don't open it. I looked up. Why? She stepped closer, laid her hand lightly on my wrist, and nodded toward the label. Can't you see? Looked where she looked, and saw everything at once. The return label wasn't printed through the usual courier system. It was a sticker, applied a hair-off square barcode at the bottom, truncated. Under the blue Father's Day sticker, a sliver of something else peeked out, a different label, rough torn, with the first 2 letters of my name still visible. The tape job was wrong. All dash the dash way dash around. All the way around. More tape than box. At one corner, the cardboard was abraded. A faint dusting of white clung there like flour from a baker who didn't mean to leave fingerprints. And there was a noise, not ticking, not the movie kind. A faint intermittent chirp, 5 seconds apart, barely there. We both knew that sound. AirTag, Jessica whispered. Or a cheap tracker. The skin between my shoulders went tight. I set my palm flat on the top of the box and felt the faintest vibration when the chirp sounded again, like a small device housed in something soft. The weight was wrong, I thought again. Not a gift, a cargo. We're being absurd, I said. It's the same way I'd once laughed off a storm warning and spent the next 6 hours with pots and towels under every leak in the kitchen. It's from Samantha. Maybe it is, Jessica said. Maybe someone used her name, or maybe she. Will, look at the tape. The seams. And the chirp. The last argument we'd had with Samantha still sat in the room like a guest who refused to leave even when you turned the lights off. The words were there if I turned toward them, Dad. Do you even understand that I need the money now? Not? After you die? And the broken coffee cup. The stain on the rug I hadn't quite scrubbed out. And the look on Jessica's face when the door slammed and the tires spun gravel. That had been 8 weeks ago. 8 weeks to think. 8 weeks to say no and mean it. 8 weeks to wonder where the next test would come from. I moved my hand off the box. Okay, I said. My heart had learned lately how to speak in my ears. We don't open it. Jessica exhaled carefully, like a diver coming up. Thank you, what do we do? I asked, already knowing. We call, she said, and we tell them exactly what we see. We don't guess. We don't accuse. We tell them there's a package that doesn't look like it should look. Dialed 911 with hands that had held newborns and power tools in the form you sign when you finally decide it's time to retire. 911. What's your emergency? Not an emergency, I said, surprised by how steady I sounded. But I think I have a suspicious package at my home. It's addressed to me with my daughter's name as the return. The label looks tampered. There's white powder residue. At the seam, there's a chirping sound from inside. We have some family context that makes it feel wrong. They ask the questions they have to ask. We answered. We moved the box onto the tile floor against an interior wall gently, like it could bruise. We dimmed the kitchen lights and stepped back, as if making less shadow would make the room less easy to use against us. The patrol car arrived in 9 minutes, the second in 11. The officer who stepped through the front door wore a calm that looked practiced and real at the same time. "Mr. Hawkins?" he asked. "I'm Officer Wynn. This is Officer McKee. You called about a package?" "Kitchen," I said. "We haven't touched it since she said don't." He glanced at Jessica. He nodded once. "Good." They took photos. They didn't make us feel ridiculous. They listened for the chirp and heard it. They looked at the seam and the powder. Officer Wynn asked 2 more questions than I expected in exactly the right ones. "Anyone with access to your mail? Any ex-employee? Anyone who would want to use your address?" "My daughter," I said. "Her husband, we had a disagreement recently about money." Officer Wynn's eyes didn't change expression. He nodded. "Okay," he stepped back and spoke into his shoulder mic. "Dispatch 24 suspicious package. Questing EOD for X-ray. Non-urgent. Evac not necessary. Advise hazmat. Stand by. Everything." After that happened in the measured way things happen when people know their job and do it without noise. The bomb squad arrived in a smaller truck than I'd expected. No drama. A tech with forearms like someone who lifts and hands that noticed. Everything asked us to step onto the porch. He set the X-ray plate, maneuvered the arm, took 3 images from 3 angles, and stepped back to scroll through them on a tablet encased in rubber. Officer Wynn stood with us. "We usually find coffee mugs," he said quietly, "or sneakers, or glitter bombs. But sometimes we find the other things." "What other things?" Jessica asked. "Already knowing. Drugs," he said. "Sometimes they use a family label to keep the receiver from thinking, or to put their prints where they want them, or to create leverage." Leverage. The word went into the kitchen and sat down on a chair that hadn't been used since the last Thanksgiving before Samantha stopped insisting on sitting next to me. The tech came back. "Not a device," he said. "No obvious wiring, no detonator. Multiple layered compartments. Soft material filling space. A small electronic in one. Last month, it had been gambling. Before that, the shopping. Before that, another emergency. The requests never stopped. They arrived dressed as love and left as receipts. And 3 months ago, the argument had ended with a door slam and a sentence that had lived under my ribs since, "Dad, do you even understand that I need the money now, not after you die?" The tech finished packing the evidence. He sealed it, labeled it, called a chain of custody number into the tablet, and gave Officer Wynn a nod. "Mr. Hawkins," Wynn said, "we'll take custody. We'll file. We'll need your statement. We'll likely have follow-up questions. Do you want to call your daughter yourself? Or would you prefer we make the first contact?" I looked at the blue card on the counter, the heart drawn at the end of my name, a smiley face sitting next to a bag that could kill a person with a handful of dust if the wind was wrong. "Let me tell you something first," I said because my mouth had been holding it and my lungs wanted it out. 2 months ago, she asked for money. She raised her voice. She said things. We ended with me opening the door and telling her to leave until she could speak to me without treating me like an ATM. My voice didn't break. It found a place to stand. Today she sent me this. Officer Wynn didn't write my pain down. He wrote the facts. "We'll handle the contact," he said. "For your safety and hers, the next calls will be ours." After they left, the kitchen looked like itself again, except for the one place it didn't. The island was clean. The rug was still stained. From the coffee, the window still framed the maple like a painting. On the counter, the Father's Day card. The blue, the polka dots. The heart drawn in Samantha's quick, pretty script, the way she'd signed school permission slips, I still had in a banker's box in the garage, Jessica lifted the card and held it at arm's length like a thing that could bite. "Don't," I said, out of habit. "I'm not," she said. "I'm making room." She put the card in a Ziploc bag, labeled it with the date and the case number the tech had given us, and set it on the hutch under the good dishes. Then she put water on the stove and set 2 mugs on the counter and took out the tin of tea she keeps for days that require hands and heat. When the kettle sang, we sat. I held the mug without drinking. The tile underfoot felt steady. The clock over the pantry door ticked like it had always ticked. Jessica said nothing for a long time. Then she said, "Okay, we take this breath, and then we decide what to do." "What is there to do?" I asked. It came out harsher than I meant. "Plenty," she said. "We decide what you've already decided. We hold it. We make paper to keep us honest. And we don't open anything that doesn't look like what it says it is." I thought of the argument 8 weeks ago. It's the way it had built and built until the words weren't words anymore, but whether. "Dad, do you even understand that I need the money now, not after you die?" The cup in her hand had shattered back then. The coffee had bled into the rug. The words had bled into me. We had stood in this room then too. I had gripped the inheritance documents, the way a drowning man holds a rope, and found a truth. 30 years of careful planning can become a weapon in somebody else's hand if you let them swing it. We had said all the sentences people say when they forget who they are. Greedy, selfish, unloving. I had found the door handle and opened it and told my daughter to leave. She had hissed, "I would regret it." Her husband had called me old man and promised that this was not over. 20 minutes ago. My house had become a crime scene with blue gloves and a careful hand cutting through tape that never should have been. On a box meant for me, I looked at Jessica. She's the best person I know. I said the sentence I should have said 8 weeks ago, the same way I just called 911 when I should have laughed and opened a box. "Okay, we decide." I finished. The TI stood up. I went to the office and pulled open the drawer where the old manuals and the mortgage files and the estate plan lived. I pulled out the binder that says Hawkins' family plan and my daughter's neat writing from 10 years ago, when we were still a family that made plans in rooms with cake after. I opened it. I put a pad of paper next to it. I wrote 3 words at the top: house, money, boundaries, on the kitchen counter behind me. I heard the chirp we'd all almost ignored fade to silence. The AirTag had gone to sleep. A different kind of alarm had woken up, * 8 weeks earlier. My kitchen had smelled like scorched coffee and a kind of panic you only recognize when it's done pretending to be concerned, Dad. "Do you even understand that I need the money now? Not after you die?" Samantha's coffee cup had slipped from her hand, hit the hardwood, and exploded. The brown bloom bled into the Persian rug we bought for our 20th. Peter lounged on the sofa like a placeholder in his own life. "Sneakers too white for thee." Words he was using, old man. Greedy. Miser. 43 years of 12-hour days turned into a courtroom, where the judge and the jury and the prosecutor all wore my daughter's face. Jessica stood in the doorway with a dish towel twisted between her hands. I said, "Get out," and it felt like jumping off a pier you built yourself. The BMW's tires spat gravel. The house was quiet. I picked ceramic out of the rug until my fingers hurt. Jessica brought paper towels. We cleaned until the stain looked like a shadow and then stopped because some stains earned their rent. We didn't talk that night. The words would have been heat. We made sandwiches and ate them standing up. The next morning, the house still stood. So did I. I went to the office and put the estate plan binder on the desk and stared at it until the sun moved across the floor and told me to choose. Now, on Father's Day, after the box and the chirp and the blue that wasn't sky in a vial, we had a detective in our living room. Detective Dana Cole wore plain clothes that didn't pretend to be anything but what they were, and a notebook she didn't have to look at to know where the next line went. She'd been a patrol officer once. You could hear it in the Caden Snow Theater. All procedure. "Mr. Hawkins, Mrs. Hawkins," she said. After the techs had packed the powder and the burner phone and the labels and the tape with the chain of custody, That made my chest feel like someone had set a weight down gently instead of dropping it. I'm sorry to meet you like this. Thank you for coming, Jessica said, because she's the one of us who still says grace to strangers. Cole sat, pen poised. I need to build a clean timeline, she said. When was the last direct contact with your daughter? 8 weeks ago, I said. Here she asked for money. I said no. Cole didn't put an opinion on her face. Did she threaten anything? Words, I said. Not plans. She said I'd regret it. Her husband said it wasn't over. Gambling debts? Cole asked, not guessing, placing that. And I gestured at the room. Shopping bags have weight too. Okay, she said, writing. Any other access to your mail? House cleaners? Caregivers? It's just us, Jessica said. We pick up the mail. Our neighbor, Mrs. Lynn, pulled the package in off the rain once last month. That's it, Cole nodded. We'll canvass. Need a consent to pull your phone records for the last month calls, texts. We'll need your ring footage and any other cameras. I'll take that Father's Day card into evidence. Jessica slid the Ziploc across the table. Already bagged, she said. Dates on the label. Cole's mouth tipped. Thank you. She took it, flipped it over, read the heart. We'll also need to contact your daughter, she added, voice steady. Given the content of the package, she may be a victim, a participant, or a courier being used without her full understanding. Our job is to figure out which. Or all three, I said. It didn't sound bitter. It sounded tired even to me. Cole didn't argue. Sometimes she said, there's a sticky note on the cheap phone that says, call this number when you get the gift. K. We'll apply for a warrant to dump the phone and the number. In the meantime, do not call it. Do not text your daughter or student-in-law about the package. If they contact you, do not respond. Forward everything to me. I nodded. Jessica nodded. Cole stood. One more thing, she said at the door. Did the right thing. People think calling us is too much. It isn't. After she left, I went back to the desk and slid the yellow pad in front of me. I wrote 3 words at the top, the way a man writes left, right at the edge of a map, so he doesn't walk himself in circles. House, money, boundaries, under. House, I wrote. Hold mail at post office for pickup. No deliveries at the door for now, closing. P.O. box for anything surprise. Change garage code. Disable keypad remote. Ricky locks Friday. New deadbolts, call Morales locksmith. Remove any shared access from Ring. Download footage, then change password. 2. FA to my phone only. Put a sign at the door. No packages accepted at door use hold. Desk. Talk to an attorney about a trust if we need to update. Life estate, successor trustee, no contest. Marion Cho, Elaine recommended her. Under money, remove Samantha as authorized user from our credit card, call the bank, ask for documentation, audit any joint linked accounts, close anything with family access, set transaction alerts greater than $100. New PEs require confirmation, update beneficiaries, keep the plan, but add language about criminal acts and undue influence. Incentive trust? Call Glenn Whitaker, our advisor, closing parenthesis. Cash-only household. No just caps and rules. Put a freeze on new. Lines of credit, credit bureaus. Separate emergency fund in a different bank. Under boundaries, no cash gifts. If we help, it's direct to a legitimate bill after verification. No intermediaries. No conversations about money while anyone is yelling. Written only. The witnesses, if needed. We don't open packages we didn't order. We don't meet friends. Of Samantha or Peter, 60-day no contact, except through Detective Cole or counsel. If Samantha wants help, budget, debt counselor, therapy. We pay the counselor directly, not her. 1 month at a time, if she shows up. I looked at the list until the letters sharpened. Jessica read over my shoulder and put her finger on 3 lines locks. Ring authorized user? Today, she said. We do these today. We did. Catherine at the bank sounded like a woman who had been waiting to be asked. Psst, Mr. Hawkins, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. We can remove an authorized user, with your consent and a fraud flag. Overnight, new cards. I'll set alerts, and I'll put a note on your profile. No changes by phone unless the request is made in branch, in person. Morales Locksmith showed up in a van that had seen better paint and exactly the hardware I needed. Changed the locks with a speed. That looked like muscle memory and installed. Deadbolts that shook hands with the frame. I printed a hold mail request and walked it to the post office 4 blocks away, where the clerk with a tattoo of a bluebird on her wrist said, "Will, keep it for a week. Renew if you need." I opened a P.O. box while I was there under my own name and my own hand. The key felt like the right size in my pocket. Ring was meaner. Passwords always are. I changed it in the living room while Jessica read me the 2-factor code like it was a prayer. I removed Samantha and Peter from the shared users list. The app popped a confirmation. Samantha has been removed. It looked like a sentence from a script I never thought I'd have to read. At dusk, we sat with our tea again. The blue card was gone. The counter was clean. The rug still had its shadow. The phone rang at 8:14 p.m. Unknown caller. It let the first ring sound like normal. The second felt like something else. The third made me decide. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. It did not leave a voicemail. 4 minutes later, a text to my phone, "Dad, did you get my gift? Please pick up. I need to talk to you, Sam." A second. "Answer the phone, old man." Peter. A third. 10 minutes later. While I was forwarding the first 2 to Detective Cole, "Call the number on the phone. You better not have done anything stupid." Jessica's hand settled, light on the table. I didn't look at her. Looked at the 3 bubbles of speech on the screen, foreign from my daughter's number, after 8 weeks of silence, and like a cough from a number I didn't know. I forwarded them all to Cole and put my phone face down. It buzzed again. "Cole, detective." "I've got the screenshots," she said, paper whispering in the background. "Don't respond. We've got a warrant to dump the burner from the box call logs." Texts. "I'm going to ask you to do a controlled call tomorrow from this number, my office, so we can record it." "Not 2K yet?" "To your daughter," she answers. "You say one thing. Detective Cole would like to speak with you about a package. Please call her. No anger, no promises, no explanations. Can you do that?" "Yes," I said. "And if Kay calls you, don't pick up. If he shows up, call 911. Do not open the door. Do not be brave. D boring." I almost laughed. "Boring," I said. "I can do boring." "Good, one more thing," she added. "If a courier or a friend comes by with a story, do not engage. We'll have a cruiser in the neighborhood tomorrow." After we hung up, I stared at the yellow pad again. The 3 boxes on top steadied me the way learning the name of a tool sometimes can. House, money, boundaries. "Do you think she knew?" Jessica asked finally. "What was in the box?" I told the truth. "I don't know," I said. "I know she put a heart in the card." Jessica nodded. "Me too." We slept light. The house creaked like it has for 30 years. A car pulled into the cul-de-sac and left. Somewhere a teen cut across a lawn and set off a motion light. Normal noises. The other kind of normal waited for morning. At 9 a.m., my phone lit with a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring. It didn't leave a voicemail. At 9:03, it's the house phone, the one we keep because older relatives refuse to believe we'd ever get rid of it. Trang with that old bell sound that always makes me stand. "Up too fast," Jessica answered. "Hello? No, wrong number," she said, and hung up. She looked at me. A man asked if Will was available to sign for a package at the corner. I texted Cole. She responded, "Hold, cruiser on the way." At 9:20, the phone on the counter. The burner the tech had left behind. No. Hours. The screen lit. Unknown. It rang again. It rang a third time, and we waited for it to go to voicemail the way you wait for a kettle to sing. Then the second phone, the one in the Ziploc on the hutch, lit up even though it wasn't connected to our Wi-Fi, even though it shouldn't. Have been able to do anything in a plastic bag with no service? Jessica and I stared at it. The screen didn't show a number, showed one letter K. The screen that shouldn't have lit, not mine, not Jessica's. The cheap phone, the one Detective Cole's tech, had sealed in a silver Faraday sleeve on our hutch for later controlled calls, glowed through the plastic like a firefly that had found a hole in a jar lid. One letter pulsed on the lock screen, key didn't touch it. I didn't breathe too loud. I texted Cole one word, "It's ringing." She replied in less than 10 seconds, "Do not answer. I'm en route." The phone pulsed again. K, then dark. Then again K, like a heartbeat that wanted witnesses. When Cole came through the door, she didn't remove her shoes. She went straight to the hutch, gloved up, pinched the corner of the Faraday sleeve, sealed the seam tight with a strip of foil tape from her pocket, and watched the screen fade. "They make these bags thinner every year," she muttered. "Signal slips in if the seal's sloppy." She set the phone on the table like a specimen and looked at me. "You ready to make your call?" I nodded. My mouth had learned how to be steady in emergencies later in life than I would have preferred. Cole connected her recorder to our landline, with a clip that looked like a polite spider. She dialed Samantha's number, then handed Jessica the receiver. "If she answers," Cole said. "William says one sentence. Detective Cole would like to speak to you about a package. Then you hand the phone to me. No apologizing. Number. Questions." The phone rang 3 times. On the 4th, my daughter's voice arrived like a photo you can't tell whether to save or burn. "Hello?" I took the handset. "Sam, Detective Cole would like to speak to you about a package." I said, even. "Please call her." Silence, then, "Dad." What package?" "Wire the police." I handed the phone to Cole and put my hands flat on the table to keep them from remembering the tremor. They'd practiced the night she left with coffee on the rug. "Ms. Hawkins?" Cole said, voice professional, not unkind. "Detective Cole with the county police. A package addressed to your father arrived at his residence this morning with your return address. Due to anomalies," Patrol responded. Yadi x-rayed and then opened the package under controlled conditions. It contained fentanyl, a burner phone, and pre-printed labels. "We need you to come in to talk." Silence. Then Samantha tried on 3 voices in quick successions. Surprise, indignation, innocence, sent threw them away when they didn't fit. The 4th sounded like someone had pressed a thumb to the soft part of her arm until the nerves woke up. "I didn't know," she said, fast and small. "I didn't. Peter said it was a Father's Day thing. A prank. He taped it. He said a friend needed to use our return label to get something through because his building rejects unknowns." Cole didn't breathe too loud. "A friend," she said. "Name I don't know him. Peter does. He calls him K." A shaky laugh that bent in the middle, like in those spy movies. "Just came as Hawkins," Cole said. "Steady, this is the part where you stop guessing. We have a phone in evidence with a sticky note that says, 'Call this number when you get the gift.' K, we will dump that phone and that number. You can have the next 5 minutes of this story, or you can have the last 5 after we arrest. K and your husband for distribution. Choose." Samantha's breath over the line slid into a rhythm that matched mine the night I said "get out" and meant it. "I want to do the first 5, she whispered. "Please, come in," Cole said. "Now, no, I have to check with." "No, maybe later if you're afraid, say so. We'll arrange a meet with a patrol car in the lot." "Afraid," she said. "Good," Cole said. "Be at the 3rd Street entrance in 30 minutes. When she hung up, the house found a sound I'd never expected to be grateful for. Nothing dramatic. No pose. Jessica and I didn't reach for each other like people in a picture. We stood still and counted the parts of the room that were still our own. Cole sealed the Faraday bag again. "2 things," she said. "We're going to run a decoy. Kay will try to recover the package. We won't use your porch. We'll control the drop. Second, this next hour will be the one where either your daughter stops writing the wrong story or she doesn't." I swallowed. "Us. Boring," she said again. "Stay boring." We stayed boring. We watched a cardinal bullied the feeder from the kitchen window. I wiped an already clean counter. Jessica rearranged basil in a pot. We did the kind of small, faithful work that keeps a day from going bad by itself. Dispatch called Cole on her. Shoulder mic. Subject Samantha Hawkins on site. 3rd Street entrance. Patrol with. Cole looked at me. We'll be back, she said. Decoy at 5 if we can set it. Don't answer calls. If Kay or Peter shows up, you know what to do? Be boring, I said. Exactly. The next piece moved like chess with people instead of wood. Cole later told me the shape Samantha came in with a jacket too thin for June and a face that had lost the part of its makeup that belongs to confidence. She sat across from Cole in an interview room, painted a color you only ever see in churches and government buildings, meant to soothe without guessing what that means. Start at the part. That will make your future self proud, Cole said. Samantha folded her hands, unfolded them. Peter owes money, she said, blunt, as if ripping tape off skin. He bet on a parlay because his coworker said it was free money. Then he doubled, then tripled. Then he used my card because he said he'd fix it before the statement. Then he didn't. The man he owes calls himself Kay. He laughs a lot when he says things that aren't funny. Cole waited. 2 weeks ago, Samantha continued, Kay said there was a way to work it off. He said people get squeamish when they see a certain sender name. They open when they see a daughter's. He asked to use my return label on something light. I said no. Peter said yes for me. Yesterday, a box came to our place with a different name on it. Peter taped a Father's Day sticker on it and our label over the corner and told me to send it to my dad. He said if I didn't do it, Kay would come to the house. Did you open the box? Cole asked. No, Samantha said. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to not know. I just sent it. Then I hated myself. Her voice went smaller. I wrote a heart on the card because I felt like a monster. Do you have the number 4K? Cole asked. Samantha slid her phone across. He uses different numbers, she said. This one's the current. He texts when he wants Peter to move money. Cole nodded, pulled out a plastic tray with compartments like the ones Kay uses for driver bits, placed the phone inside and slid it to a tech who had opened the door like a ghost. Okay, Cole said. We're going to run this today. Here's how it works. We'll package a decoy same box, same weight, inert filler. 2 options. Blue mailbox drop at a location he specifies, or hand off to a runner at a neutral site we cover. You will text. Kay from your phone, exactly what I tell you. Then you will leave your phone here and go sit in the lobby with a patrol officer who will talk to you about weather and pets and not let you go to the bathroom alone. Okay, Samantha said, and for the first time in 8 weeks, my daughter sounded like the woman I had raised to make decisions without asking a room if they liked them. Back at the house, I kept my own list moving. I called Marion Cho, the ESTA attorney Elaine had recommended. We spoke in a language I now understood: revocable trust, life estate, successor trustee, no contest clause. Bad actor disinheritance for criminal conduct that harms the settler. We'll add a section, she said. If a beneficiary commits a felony involving the transfer of controlled substances to or from your property or attempts to, their share goes to the scholarship fund you mentioned on intake, not vengeance. Boundaries. Boundaries, I repeated. We'll also add a power of appointment for your wife, Marion added, so no judge has to guess if anything goes sideways. Good, I called Glenn, our financial advisor. We're freezing access, I said. No new users. Alerts at $100. Transfers require in-person. Already done, Glenn said. Will, I added a block for any card charge at online sportsbooks. I can't stop everything. I can make the lazy bad decisions harder. Make them hard, I said. At 4:12 p.m., Cole texted. Decoy ready. You may get a text from a number you don't recognize. Do not engage. At 4:15, a text from Samantha's number, my daughter. On Cole's instruction, backdooring a line into, Our day, Dad. I'm with Detective Cole. I'm safe. I'm telling the truth. Please don't open for anyone. I love you. It wasn't an apology. It was a sentence that wanted to pay rent again someday. At 4:22, text to Sam's phone from Kay, forwarded to Cole's system, and by baton, To us on a screen she could mirror if we wanted to feel like we were there without being there. K. Box arrive. Sam. Yes. Where do you want it? K. Blue box. 5th and Pine. 5 p.m. send pic when dropped. Sam. Okay. Cole typed 2. Sam. Good. Do not drop. We'll drop. Stay. Put at 4:40. Cole's tech loaded a twin of the box into an unmarked car. No powder inside. No danger. Tracker smaller than the AirTag that chirped in my kitchen wrote under the tape. A second car took up position across from the blue mailbox at 5th and Pine. Patrol rolled behind. 1 block off, no lights, at 5:01. A woman in a yellow visor approached the mailbox with the choreographed casual of people who think they're good at not being seen. She slid a hand into the slot, reached deep, and pulled the decoy box out with fingers that had done this before. She turned fast, head down, and made for a tan sedan at the corner. Go, Cole said into the mic. Patrol didn't light her up like TV. They rolled.
Oh.
The tan sedan, doors open, had a driver whose hands were too clean. The woman in the visor climbed in and found her door blocked by a cruiser that had discovered how to exist in exactly the wrong place at exactly the right time. Ma'am, the officer said, even through the radio, step out of the vehicle. The woman froze. Driver didn't. He ran. 2 steps. 3. Penelope, the security guard from Redline on her off-duty, shift caught him around the hips. 5 yards from the curb and put him on the asphalt with a gentleness that would not show up on the camera. Easy, she said. We're not here to make you into a movie. In the back of the sedan, on the seat, under a fast food bag, a roll of printed shipping labels with 3 names. Mine, a P.O. box, and a third. A house we didn't know on the other side of town that would have heard a doorbell it didn't deserve. Cole. Called 20 minutes later. We have the runner and the driver, she said. We have their phones. We have their car. We have texts with K, and we have K's habits. He's not careful. He's local. We'll have him. What about Peter? I asked. She didn't pause. He texted K at 3:58. Drop at 5th and Pine. She's doing it. Where's my credit? We have that. I sat down. I didn't shake. My hands remembered the bench where they had built tables and mended chairs and now wrote lists to keep alive. From breaking, detective, I said, and didn't know what the next sentence was supposed to be. Thank you, please. I'm sorry, she said, knowing none of those words fit. Dow comes paper. Statements, warrants. It's not the movies, but it's good. Can I began, then stopped. Can I talk to my daughter? Today, Cole said. Tomorrow. Here, with me in the room. In the meantime, she asked me to tell you the thing that is hers to ask, but wanted you to have now. I waited. She asked if you would put your plan on paper and not make it performance, Cole said. She said she's ready to hear no with a door that isn't closed forever. The sentence moved through me like the opposite of the blue we saw in the vial. Not an antidote. A boundary. Okay, I said. Here's my plan. We keep the house safe. We keep the money safe. Put boundaries where there weren't any. If she wants help, it won't look like cash. It will look like a phone number to a counselor we pay directly and a budget spreadsheet we sit with until both our eyes water. It will look like a month at a time. Cole's exhale sounded like someone taking paperwork seriously, which is a sound I trust now. Write it, she said. Bring it tomorrow. Bring a pen that works. After we hung up, Jessica put 2 plates on the island and set forks beside them. It's pasta with butter, pepper, the kind of dinner you eat when you used up your ambition on. Not opening a box and calling a number that would have broken you, I pulled the yellow pad in front of me, added a 4th word under the 3 boxes. Grace then. Under it, in smaller letters I could live with. Earned, not owed. The phone line buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't pick up. It went to voicemail. No message. Then a text. Green bubble. Unsaved number. As if the sender wanted to avoid being helpful. You think this stops me? It read, you owe me. Answer when I call. Key forwarded it to Cole. She sent back the only emoji I believe police should use, and the only one that has ever made me trust a text from a stranger. A paper clip. Paper, not noise. I set the phone face down. I ate pasta. I, I slept like a man in a house whose locks matched his keys. In the morning, I would bring a plan to a room with a detective and a daughter and a table that wasn't a courtroom or an altar. It would have 4 boxes. It would be boring. That was the point. Asterisk Detective Cole put us in a room that looked like a church basement, learned how to file. Pale paint, square table, 2 chairs on one side, one on the other, a box of tissues that had seen some things. Ground rules, she said. 1. I ask the questions. 2. No shouting. 3. If either of you wants a break, raise a hand. The door opened. Samantha came in wearing a jacket too thin for the air conditioner and a face that had run out of ways to pretend. She sat across from me and looked at the tabletop like it owed her a line. Miss Hawkins, Cole began. In your words, what happened with the package? Samantha didn't reach for a performance. She told it plain. Peter's bets K's calls the sticker over the corner. The decision that felt like holding a door for a wolf, because the wolf promised not to look at you. I put a heart on the card, she said finally, voice thin. I thought if I put love on top of it, it would change what it was. Cole let the silence do its job. Here's where we are, she said. We recovered the decoy from a runner and a driver at 5th and Pine. We have texts from Peter 2K. We're working the warrant for K's devices. You're here. It's good. This will still hurt. That's normal. Samantha looked at me then. Not for rescue, not for permission. For a place to put what came next. Dad? She said. I'm sorry, I know, I said. It didn't sound like absolution. It sounded like a door I had learned how to open without being pushed through it. Cole slid a paper across the table. William, she said, businesslike. You told me you wrote a plan. Read it. I did. No adjectives. For boxers. House, money, boundaries, grace earned, not owed. House. Hold all mail at the post office. Use a new P.O. box for surprises. Rekeyed locks. Changed codes. Ring access removed. 2FA to my phone. No packages accepted at the door. Money, Samantha. Removed as authorized user. New cards issued. I can't fix him, she whispered. It wasn't a question. No, I said. You can fix you. Cole slid a second paper across the table. 2 names and 2 phone numbers. Debt counselor, therapist, she said. Both vetted by the Department for Victims tangled in coercive debt. If you choose to leave, Peter, we'll connect you to a victim advocate. If you don't, the boundaries still stand. Samantha nodded. Not defiant. Not grateful. Determined in a way I'd forgotten lived in her. Cole stood. Okay, she said. We're done for today. Patrol will walk you to your car. William, stay with me a minute. When the door closed, Cole leaned on the table with both hands and looked at me the way a carpenter looks at a joist to see if it'll hold. She chose first 5, she said. That matters. We'll charge Peter. We'll pick up Kay. Glanced at her watch. Maybe sooner than you think. It happened like a lesson. Kay wasn't a mastermind. He was a man who liked to be in the middle of his own story. Responded to the runner's arrest by texting 3 different numbers. At once, he pinged a meet in a strip mall lot by an old laundromat where the lights still flickered. He asked for video proof of the drop. He sent a selfie with a peace sign and a brick wall behind him. Thank you, Cole muttered to no one, and sent 2 unmarked units and 1 very marked one that rolled slow enough to be inevitable. Kay stepped out of a gray SUV in a hoodie in June because men who think they're invisible always get the weather wrong. He had a phone in each pocket and a roll of labels in his hand. He had a lot to say until you were under arrest. Took the oxygen out of the grammar. Then he asked for a lawyer. They took him without lights and fireworks. Paper first, charges after. It wasn't TV. It was good. Marion emailed that afternoon with a draft of the trust amendments. Her subject line was the kind that makes a man exhale and pick up a pen that works. As discussed, clear terms. I read on the screen with the slow care that comes after your kitchen has been a crime scene and you want your words to be a shield. Not a story. The sentence that changed how I slept was short and clean. Any beneficiary who commits, attempts to commit, or conspires to commit a felony involving controlled substances in connection with the settler's person or residence shall be deemed To have predeceased the settler, and shall take nothing. Under it, another line Marion had built for people like me, who confuse generosity with guilt. The trustee may, in the trustee's sole discretion, decline any distribution the trustee reasonably believes would enable addiction, gambling, or criminal conduct, without liability to any beneficiary. I read them twice. Then I printed the draft and set it next to the yellow pad. Paper that meant I didn't have to invent a spine every time someone asked me to. Paper that let me say no and sleep. We signed with witnesses 2 days later in Marion's boardroom, which smelled like coffee and new cardboard. Jessica's hand on the pen was steady. Mine was steadier than it had been in years. When we got home, there was no casserole on the step, no apology tucked under the mat. Good. We're not a movie. We're a house. We made a small Father's Day on a different day, because the real one had been borrowed by a box. Jessica mixed batter and made pancakes even though it was evening. I cooked bacon in a pan the way my father had, medium heat, no rush. We ate at the island with the basil in reach and the window open to let the sound of the maple out where it belonged. Lane called from Baltimore and told me a story about a neighbor who thought raccoons were a metaphor. We laughed. It sounded like us after dinner. I pulled the rug back and worked the coffee stain again with a solution I'd found on a scrap of paper in Margaret's recipe box years ago. White vinegar. Dish soap. Patience. It lightened, didn't leave. That felt about right. Samantha texted a photo of a waiting room, no people. To chairs, a fern, a poster about budgeting that tried too hard. Under it, 3 words I could live with. Session 1 done. I wrote back, proud of you. Paper first. She responded with a single emoji I never thought I'd be grateful to see on my screen. A paperclip. We did the boring things. I put the new keys on a hook by the door. Jessica labeled the P.O. box key with a strip of masking tape. I taped our 4-box plan to the inside of the pantry door where we keep the batteries and the flashlight. We took a walk around the block and waved to Mrs. Lynn, who asked about the basil and not about the police truck. Bless her. When we came back, I stood at the kitchen island and wrote one more line under Grace on the yellow pad, small letters that meant I meant it. Love, loud, plus steady, not blind. Detective Cole called the next morning. Kay's in custody. Peter's arraignment this afternoon. Samantha's cooperating. You did right. Can I? Started the way a man does when he's not sure which direction the next. Apology should face. Not yet, she said. Next week. We'll do a facilitated meeting. Keep your plan. Bring your pen. I looked at the counter where a blue card had sat, and then at the place where it wasn't. I looked at the 4 boxes on my list, and at the single sentence in Marion's draft that meant my house could be my house without apology. I looked at the basil in the rug in Jessica's hands and my own, both of which were the hands of people who had decided to be boring for a while on purpose. I slept, like a person whose locks match his keys, whose paper matches his mouth, whose love knows the difference between a heart on a card and a heart in a room. Asterisk, we met in the library again. Room B, same tie-stained carpet. Same chairs that groaned like they'd been asked to do this before. Caroline, the mediator with the steady voice and the spiral notebook, drew 2 boxes on her pad. Hers and slid a tissue box to the equidistant. Spot. Ground rules, she said. William reads his plan. Samantha responds. No money changes hands in this room. Today is 4 sentences that can live on paper. Samantha came in with her hair tied back and a binder in her arms that looked like ambition without makeup. She sat, didn't touch the tissues, and nodded at me once like a person acknowledging weather. I read the plan I'd written in Cole's room. 2 days earlier, house, money, boundaries, grace. I didn't embellish. I didn't apologize. I finished. I set the paper on the table and slid a copy to Samantha. She didn't look at Caroline to see if the room approved. She took a breath that didn't try to be a performance and said, okay. Then she did a thing that made my hands calm. She opened her binder and took out 3 pages typed, numbered, signed at the bottom. Amends, she said, voice steady, specific, no adjectives. She read, I addressed a package with my Return label so Dad would open it. That was wrong and criminal. I won't do that again. I used words to try to move money instead of solutions. Emergency when I meant avoidance. Family when I meant leverage. I won't do that again. I let Peter talk for me. That was a choice. I'm done with it. Agree to zero money and zero contact with Peter. If you choose to help me, it will go to a counselor and a debt plan, not to me. Missed sessions end, help that month. I understand. She slid copies to me and to Caroline. She didn't cry. She didn't ask for me to fix the part that's supposed to. Hurt. She said, I start the debt counselor tomorrow at 10. I start therapy Friday at 2. Here are the names. She pointed to the header Dr. Leela Bryant, therapist. Jordan Financial Counseling, nonprofit. I'll sign releases so you can verify attendance and so bills can come to you. It's 1 month at a time. If I miss, I'll own it. What about housing? Caroline asked, gentle but not avoiding the practical. I have a sublet in a teacher's condo for 6 weeks, Samantha said. Month to month, I used my own money. I pulled my name off Peter's accounts. I froze my credit. I told my landlord not to let anyone help me move. She slid a copy of her new lease across the table and the email confirming her credit freeze paper without drama. Any questions for your father? Carolyn asked. Samantha looked at the plan again. Her eyes caught at one line and held. 60 days no contact, except through Detective Cole or counsel, she read. Okay, but after 60, if I've done the things, can we do every other? Sunday dinner? No money talk? Just lasagna and basil? Yes, I said. It didn't wobble. Caroline wrote a note that read like a promise disguised as a recipe. Sundays, even weeks, 6 p.m., no finance topics, basil allowed. Peter's arraignment was that afternoon in a courtroom that smelled like bleach and impatience. Detective Cole texted me we didn't need to be there. We weren't. The feed from the county site was enough. Peter in a gray hoodie. At a wooden podium, a public defender at his shoulder. Charges read: attempted distribution of a controlled substance, conspiracy, use of a communication device, and commission of a felony. The PD whispered. Peter stared at the table like it owed him answers. The DA offered a plea. Conspiracy and device use dropped the attempt. No jail if he cooperates, completes a gambling program, and stays away from us. Violation triggers the original counts. Protective. Order was stapled to the file. No contact with me, with Jessica, with Samantha, except through counsel for divorce or Detective Cole for cooperation. He looked for Kay in the back of the courtroom like he expected a nod. Kay wasn't there. His head once, twice, then nodded like a man who had run out of other directions. Guilty, he said. The judge set conditions like brackets around a sentence. Violation will be expensive, she said. 8. In money and in time. Real help started the next morning at a table even uglier than Room B's. Jordan Financial occupied a storefront between a check-cashing place and a nail salon. The counselor, a woman in her 30s named Amaris, with sleeves rolled and eyes that recognized avoidance in 3 minutes flat, drew 4 squares on a whiteboard. Fixed costs, variable debt tomorrow. She had Samantha lay out statements on the table, like cards, rent, utilities, subscriptions she couldn't remember signing up for. Interest rates that made my teeth ache. Amaris didn't flinch. She drew arrows. She circled. She made a plan. This isn't a guilt meeting, she said. It's a math meeting. Guilt doesn't lower a PR. He called me on speaker to confirm. The rules. We're not asking for money, Amaris said. We're asking whether you'll pay our monthly fee $75 directly, month 1 only. After that, she does it. I will, I said. Month 1. What? If she shows for 4 sessions. We meet weekly, Amaris said. We'll send attendance. If she misses, you pause. Samantha met with Dr. Bryant the next day. She came out with a schedule and homework that didn't have a line for make Dad feel better. She texted me. Simple. Session done. Next 3. Booked. The paperclip emoji. Not an apology. A receipt. We fell into a rhythm that felt like work without applause. Week 1, Samantha canceled 2 streaming services, sold 2 handbags, and cut up a card. She sent me a photo of the scissor halves. She missed one counseling session because she froze in the parking lot. She texted me at 2:07, admitting the miss. I didn't fill the silence with a lecture. I texted, paper first, reschedule. She sent, back, already did, pack. Week 2, she sat with Amaris and called 3 creditors, asking for hardship programs and interest reductions with a tone that learned to be firm without being desperate. 2 said yes. 1 said no, in a voice that meant maybe later. She sent me the scripts Amaris gave her. My favorite line in them was a sentence I wish I'd learned when I was 30. Do you have the authority to change this? Not, please transfer me to someone who does. Week 3. Dr. Bryant had Samantha write a timeline of the last ERA calendar of every emergency, color-coded by who created it and who paid. The page looked like a heat map. Samantha brought it to room B with Caroline and read the parts that belonged to me without flinching. I trained you to expect me to break, she said. You trained yourself to be ready to fix me. New training, I break less. You don't fix unless the plan says you do. Week 4, she brought a proposed budget to the table. It wasn't pretty. It was real. She wanted help with the Jordan fee for month 2. He asked to see attendance. She held up her phone. 4. Green check marks? I sent 1 payment. No lecture. It's just the memo line. Month 2 attendance verified. Week 5, she missed therapy. She told me without prompting. Paused this month, I wrote back. It hurt to type. Hurt is not always the wrong signal. She sent the paperclip emoji and the new appointment confirmation. She didn't ask for the Jordan fee that week. I didn't offer. She showed up the next Wednesday and sent a photo of the waiting room fern. Week 6. She came to Sunday dinner on an even week. 6 p.m. lasagna, basil. She didn't circle the topic. She set down a notebook with budget on the cover and left it unopened. She told us about volunteering at the library's Saturday reading hour because Dr. Bryant had assigned be useful in a room you can't control. She laughed at something Jessica said about raccoons and metaphors. When she left, she hugged me like a person who knew what a hug was for and didn't make it a transaction. In the middle of those weeks, Marion sent the final trust documents. We signed with a notary who had stamps for every kind of day. The sentence that had made me sleep sat in black ink on crisp paper. Any beneficiary who commits, attempts to commit, or conspires to commit a felony involving controlled substances in connection with the settler's person or residence shall be deemed to have predeceased the settler and shall take nothing. It looked like justice written before emergency. It looked like permission to be boring. Glenn sent an email titled, Update, Hard Blocks, plus Alerts. It added a friction layer to anything that smelled like an online sports book. Can't stop a determined person, he wrote. I can make the lazy cliff farther away. Detective Cole called once a week with updates that sounded like paperwork but felt like oxygen. Kay pled. Peter enrolled in gambling treatment and, for once, showed up 3 days in a row. The protective order held. Samantha didn't violate it. Even when it would have been easy, Jessica watched all this with the kind of stillness that makes you think nothing is happening until you notice the basil. Doubled overnight. One night. In the quiet part between dinner and news, she rinsed her tea mug, dried it with the towel that had learned to live on the oven handle, and said, Will, I want to ask for something. Anything, I said, because I thought I knew what requests sounded like in our house. She surprised me by pointing at the rug. Can we roll it up? She asked. And give it away, or throw it out, or cut it into pieces and make potholders. I don't care. I don't want to step around that stain anymore as if it proves we're strong because we kept it. I looked at the Persian we'd bought for our 20th, the one I'd made into a monument too that night, because penitence is easier to measure when it lives in wool. I hadn't run the idea past my head that I was allowed to let it go. Yes, I said tonight. We rolled it in 10 minutes. We didn't make a ceremony of it. We took it to the garage and set it next to the stack for pickup. The floor underneath looked bare and young. Didn't rush to cover it. We walked across it in our socks and called it enough. Then she asked for the second quiet thing. "A month," she said. "Let's leave the house for a night." Right. No bags. Just a hotel downtown with a decent lock and bad curtains. We'll eat diner food and come home at 10 in the morning and drink coffee at our own table. She was smiling like a woman asking for something small that was a doorway to the outdoors. "Okay," said, feeling 17 and 66 at once. First Friday, she said. "Already booked?" We told no one. We didn't. Make a picture. We started a habit. On Sunday night, Samantha came over, took off her shoes at the door without being asked, brought a bag of basil she'd managed not to kill in her new kitchen. We ate lasagna, talked about raccoons and librarians, and the concert in the park she could now afford. Because she'd canceled 3 subscriptions that wanted to be apps and weren't. When she left, she squeezed Jessica's hand and said, "Next week I might bring a friend from group. She makes a mean lemon bar." "Basil and lemon," Jessica said, thinking about her recipes. "Yes." After the dishes, I wrote a new line under Grace on the yellow pad. "Replace what holds hurt on purpose." On Monday, a letter came to the PO. Box, no stickers, no hearts. Plain envelope. Return, Jordang Financial. Inside, a receipt that said month 2 paid by client. Not me, her. Paperclip emoji in paper form. I walked home holding that slip the way you hold a new arrival's foot, careful, mused at your own tenderness, surprised. You remember how Detective Cole called the next day? Plea entered. Protective. Order extended a year. Samantha's doing the work. You're doing yours? I rarely get to say this, but good job being boring, Mr. Hawkins. Thank you, I said. I put the receipt under a magnet on the fridge next to our 4-box plan and the basil. Schedule and a photo of the 2 of us in a hotel room downtown with 2 white sheets and the first, white as sunshine, elbowing through. Bad curtains. We looked like people who had decided to stop stepping around old stains and to leave and come back to the same address as many times as it took. Mrs. Lynn knocked twice and let herself say my name through the screen the way only neighbors who've earned the right do, Mr. Hawkins. You home? I was trimming the basil, the second planting finally forgiving me for the spring frost. Wiped my hands and opened the door. It came, she said, holding a brown box like a person carrying a cat that might decide to hate her. For my grandson. It's Father's Day late, she added, apologetic, even though the holiday was already far enough behind. To be a story instead of a date. The label was familiar in the way a lie learns to dress. Cheerful sticker, return address. Off square, taped like a mummy. A dusting of white at one corner that wasn't flour. And when I tilted my head and refused to hear what I wanted, a faint chirp from inside, 5 beats apart. My throat remembered how to tighten. My hand remembered how to not reach. Don't open it, I said. She blinked. Why? Because I've seen this movie, I said gently. And it's the kind where the right thing is to be boring. I set the box on our tile away from the rug we didn't have anymore. I called 911 and explained like I'd practiced. Label tampered, sticker on sticker, chirp residue. Officer Wynn and McKee were at our door in 10 minutes, like they'd been circling the block waiting for someone to need something that wasn't. A speech, Mrs. Lynn Wynn said, nodding to her by name because he is decent. We'll take a look. Thank you for calling your neighbor first. Bomb squad. X-ray. The same careful movements. I now knew meant normal day to a group of people who treat patients like a tool. The tech peeled a corner. No wiring. Number. Debt. 2 Mylar bags. A cheap phone. A roll of pre-printed labels with a 3rd address across town. Not Kay's work, he was gone, but the same playbook from someone who still thought family makes good cover. Same network. To me on the porch. Different letter. What letter? I asked before I could stop myself from making myths out of real men. Doesn't matter, he said. We'll catch this one too. It's all just phones and boxes and tape if no one opens it. Lynn stood small next to Jessica, hands on her cheeks like she'd let go of a thing without knowing she'd been holding it. My grandson, she said, voice thin, sends me photographs of birds. He doesn't send me boxes. I know that. I just saw the sticker, And it's a nice sticker, Jessica said. They make a lot of things look like gifts. We spent an hour after they left doing the kind of block work that keeps a neighborhood from becoming a list of 6-foot fences. I printed a 1-page sheet with big letters, packages you didn't order. Jessica walked it to the 10 houses around, ours, and set it on porches with a magnet and a strip of blue painter's tape. Boring, good, do not open. Do not move far. Call 911. Look for off-square labels. Too much tape, residue, chirps. Hold your mail at the post office if you travel. Put surprises in a P.O. box, not on a stoop. Ask a neighbor to stand with you on the porch where the air is good. Mrs. Yi. Lynn called me that night to tell me her grandson had sent a photo of a cardinal that looked like a mess and a king at once. I pretended to know bird names beyond red and said the thing that mattered. I'm glad you called. We were 2 weeks into boring when Samantha hit her first real pothole, rent due, a late notice printed on pink like a threat dressed. As Candy work had cut hours because summer does that. The debt counselor's scripts didn't charm the management company because a memo line in a corporate spreadsheet won't take a day off out of pity. She texted and then called and then texted again. The tone had the old edge, but not the old blade. Can you cover rent just this once? I'll pay you back, please. I'm doing the sessions. I'm trying. I looked at the plan on the inside of the pantry door. The line I'd written about no rent wasn't there, but the spirit was. Help looks like paying for counselors and plans, not padding months. It can help you talk to them. I typed and paused. That's a sentence that can feel like sand when your shoes have holes. I called Jessica into the kitchen and read the texts out loud because everything sounds different when it hits someone else's air. Offer 3 things, she said, steady. Call the landlord with her and ask for a plan. Offer to be the person who sends the check for an agreed-on plan next month if she shows up for every session. And ask her to sell one thing she'd never thought of selling, something she can. Miss without breaking. I called Samantha. I didn't let my voice try to be a cushion. I won't pay the rent, I said. I will call your landlord with you. Get a plan. And if you keep showing up, I'll send next month's agreed number directly to them while you catch up. This month, you'll sell a thing and you'll DoorDash 3 nights and you'll hate all of it. And none of that is the end of the world. She went quiet in the way people do when space where yes would have been makes them dizzy. This hurts, she said. I know, I said. It's also how it stops hurting in a year. We called the landlord together, Maris from Jordan, sat with Samantha on speaker, and did her script without apology. Hardship program. 2-part payment, late fee waived, if on time. It worked because Amaris knew who to ask for, and because Samantha didn't cry in a way that asked for less and more at once. Samantha texted me a photo that night, a dress on a hanger headed for consignment, a screenshot of a DoorDash schedule. With night slots open, a calendar of sessions with green checks. She ended it with the PAPRCLIP. The next day, a woman in a navy suit and a ponytail, I recognized as a compromise between professionalism and it's summer and the air is mean, knocked on the door. Detective Cole doesn't drop by. She called first and said, I have something from property. I'd rather hand it to you than make you go to the desk. She set a manila envelope on the table and slid it across like a person who knows how paper should land. Ah! Release for non-evidence, she said. Inside, the blue Father's Day card we'd sealed and labeled 8 weeks ago, now in a fresh Ziploc. With a tag that said return to owner, no biological tox, hazard clean, and something I didn't expect, small, brown, heavy for its size, a coin, navy enamel, EOD insignia, a bomb with a shield and a wreath. The words initial success or total failure, which is a bad motto and an honest one. On the back, a smaller word I understood now better than I would have before June. Thanks. Double quotes. The text do coins. Cole said, the hint of a smile that doesn't belong on a cop's face unless the day earned it. Thing you called. You stood back. Didn't make it about a story. They liked that. I held the coin. It had the same gravity as the plumb bob in the garage, the kind of metal that tells the truth with weight, not volume. Jessica reached for the card. Do we keep it? She asked. It's not rhetorical. An honest question. The heart was still there. The ink hadn't bled into the blue. It looked like a photo of a mistake before the mistake said its name out loud. I don't know, I said. We can throw it away together. We can keep it in a place that isn't the hutch or the fridge. We put it in a box labeled Letters That Still Matter and slid it on a shelf in a closet with the good towels. Not a trophy, not a magic. A piece of paper. Cole stood to go. One more, she said from the doorway with her card between two fingers. We're closing Kay's file. Peter's on a leash he doesn't like, which is a good reminder to him to stay in his yard. Samantha is making the shape of a different life. You did right. Keep being boring. Keep the coin where you can see it. When you pick up the mail, I put it in the dish by the door under the new keys. It sat against brass like it had always been meant to. 2 weeks later, Tuesday came along that decided it wanted to be June again, even though the calendar accused it of heathenry. Samantha. Texted at 7:10 a.m. Can I come by? No agenda. I have blueberries. When our daughter knocks at 7:30 a.m. carrying fruit and no emergencies, you say yes, and you mean it. She came in with hair damp from a fast shower and a CVS bag with eggs and blueberries and a bottle of maple syrup she'd gotten on sale. There was no card. There was a note scrawled on the paper bag. Breakfast coupon redeem, any Tuesday. Jessica put on coffee. Samantha put a pan on the stove. She cracked eggs into a bowl and whisked like a person making a promise small enough to keep. I set plates on the island and did the thing I know how to do. Bacon, medium heat, no rush. The house smelled like my father's kitchen, and not like a crime scene. It smelled like something earned. We ate pancakes and bacon and blueberries with forks and no small talk, auditioning for bigger rooms. The basil was close enough to pinch. The sun came through the window like we'd paid the bill on time. Samantha slid a folded paper across the counter like the envelope I once slid across a Christmas table, but this one didn't hide a trap. It was a budget with fewer numbers than last month and a column that said paid by me, tallied at the bottom. It wasn't bragging. It was a receipt. We finished. She rinsed. She dried. She wrote next Tuesday on her hand like a teenager, and not like a character in a story about redemption. She hugged Jessica and then me, and left the way people leave when they know they can come back without negotiation. I stood at the island and watched the breakfast plates like you watch a tide recede into the part of the day it belongs to. Jessica. Took my hand light? No message, Sean said. Happy Tuesday? Happy Father's Day, I said. And laughed at myself for needing to make a joke that wasn't one. We didn't put a sticker on the morning. We didn't frame a receipt. We put the coin under the keys, put the blue card back in the closet. I went to the garage and wound the clock and held the plumb bob and watched it settle where down lives. On the inside of the pantry door, the plan looked the same. 4 boxes, same handwriting, now soft from being touched. Under Grace, one more line in Jessica's hand. So small you might miss it if you didn't already know what to look for. Breakfast counts. Asterisk. 90 days came without fireworks. Good Caroline booked room B for a check-in that wasn't a trial. Same. Carpet. Same square table. No tissues needed this time. She drew 2 boxes on her pad out of habit. Status, she said. Facts first. Samantha went first. Binder. Pages. No adjectives. Jourdang Financial. 8 sessions attended. Month 3, paid by me. Month 4, scheduled. Hardship plans approved for 2 creditors. Therapy, 5 of 6, 1 miss. Rescheduled next day. Work hours increased. Weekend shift added. New manager trusts me with the key. Housing, current. No late fee this cycle.
Right.
Sublet ends next month. Moving to a studio near the bus line, lease enclosed. Peter. 0 contact. Protective order respected. Divorce filed. She slid copies across. Receipts? I didn't clap. I nodded. My turn. I read 1 page like a man who has learned what sentences can do when they are plain. House stays under rules. Locks. Codes. P.O. box. Hold mail when needed. Money stays under rules. No cash. Direct pay only. Alerts on. Boundaries. 90-day no contact ends today. We move to call first. No money talk. In person, Sunday dinners continue even weeks. 6 p.m. Basil permitted. Grace still earned. Still available, 1 month at a time. Samantha nodded. Okay. Carolyn wrote 2 lines and capped her pen. That's it, she said. You don't need me to hold the room anymore. You have paper for that. We walked out under sky that had finally decided to be September. On the steps, Samantha looked at me and then at Jessica and said, "Thank you for not rescuing me. Thank you for not making me try," I said. We didn't hug like a commercial. We put it on the calendar. Sunday, 6 p.m. Basil. What changed at 90 days? Samantha called me on Wednesdays with a plan. Not a panic. JOURDAIN. Sent bills to me for month 3 and then stopped needing me. Dr. Bryant's notes arrived. With boxes checked and a next appointment already circled, the P.O. box stayed the P.O. box. The porch stayed boring. The rug stayed rolled and gone. The floor looked like a decision. What didn't change? Keys on the hook, coin in the dish, plan on the pantry, door breakfast. Counts, we made a quiet addendum to the will that would have made sense even if a box had never come. Marion drafted it without fanfare. We added a line to the scholarship fund we'd always intended to build one day and had finally named in ink. The Hawkins Plain Blue Scholarship awarded to one. Without spectacle. Application. A 1-page plan for the first 90 days after graduation house. Money, boundaries, grace. No essay about overcoming. No letters from people with titles. Just a plan and a phone number. We kept it small. We didn't call the paper. We told the guidance counselors. Told Kay at the hardware store. We told Dr. Morales at the district office. It felt right. A week later, Detective Cole called. It's not about a case. 2 things, she said. First, the EOD tech, who X-rayed. Your kitchen asked if Mrs. Lynn would like a coin. She did good. Second, my Basil's alive.
Oh.
Tell Jessica her cuttings survived me. I laughed into the handset, the kind of laugh that doesn't need to perform. You planted basil, I said. My neighbor handed me a pot and said I needed something I couldn't arrest, she said. She was right. How are you? I asked, not meaning files or phones. Good, she said. Boring. Which is my version of happy. Mine too, I said. The year turned. Bills came and were paid. The coin under the keys picked up the dings coins pick up when you use them as reminders. Peter pled his case and did his program and kept his distance. That sentence lives best when it doesn't ask for adjectives. Samantha missed one Sunday dinner and texted before noon. Working late, lasagna next week. Basil's happy. She attached a photo of a plant that looked like it had been loved correctly. We moved dinner. It wasn't drama. It was a calendar. On a Tuesday in July that decided to pretend it was spring. She knocked at 7:30 a.m. again. Blueberries, eggs, maple syrup on sale. We made pancakes. Coupons still good? She asked, brandishing the paper bag with her handwriting like a receipt. Always, I said. We ate on the island with the window open. Cardinal claimed the maple like a story with too much color and not enough shame. Jessica set a small terracotta pot on the counter, soiled damp, 2 green leaves, brave and new. For you, she told me. Happy Father's Day. The tag wasn't a sticker. It was a piece of masking tape, a pen line, and a date. Samantha took it and wrote a sentence on the tape without asking permission from a room or an old habit. Happy Father's Day. Love, Sam. It wasn't a trap. It was the right weight. We took a walk after breakfast. No ceremony. Sidewalk sun. The kind of heat Dallas makes when it wants to remind you it's alive. We waved to Mrs. Lynn. We looked at a sleeping dog on a porch and argued about whether he was pretending. We didn't talk about packages or Kay or court. We talked about the library's summer reading list and whether Basil really does. It's like being pinched more than being praised. When we came back, I did what I do. I wound the clock. I glanced at the pantry door 4 boxes, soft from fingers. Still right. I put the coin back under the keys. I picked up the plumb bob and let it swing once, settle where down lives, and hang there without asking me for anything. Breakfast counts. Plans on paper, Boring as a virtue, locks match the keys. My daughter writes her own sentences. My wife asked for the rug to go in a hotel once a month with bad curtains and good coffee. The house keeps time. Happy Father's Day, I wrote on the yellow pad, middle of a random week, under grace. Then, because it landed where it should this time, I signed it the way I used to sign permission slips in overtime and mortgage checks, and now sign small mornings that don't need to be rescued. Dad,